On tonight's program, the police in Papamoa gaining trust from their community. Life is too short to be unhappy. And COPD. Do you know the warning signs of this fatal disease? Kia ora, welcome to Central News for Monday, the 24th of November. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Hertford Ave in Papamoa has been the victim of a bad rap for many years now, some jokingly calling it the ghetto. Papamoa police are aiming to break that stigma and keep an open conversation with the residents.
It was more about getting into a part of the community that maybe we don't always have the greatest relationship with in terms of trust and confidence. The Hertford Ave area has been a high state housing type area for a long period of time, and maybe a higher rental area within the Papamoa community. To be fair, I think it carries a fair bit of stigma that is unwarranted and undeserved, and through some conversations with residents through this project and through a community open day that we're having tomorrow and some early feedback, it's definitely coming through that a lot of it is a stigma that we'd like to turn around as well. There's obviously some very good quality residents and community-minded people within that area, and in fact I'd have it to say that the majority of those people are. So what we're trying to do is A, turn around that stigma, and B, find out if there is any underlying issues in there that we as the police and maybe through some other agencies we could bring in to assist in lifting that profile of that area, and again the feeling of safety and things in that area. And I'm by no stretch of the imagination saying that it is unsafe. From my perspective as the officer in charge of that station, I do believe strongly that there is a lot of stigma attached to it, and it's something that I'd like to see turned around.
What basically then is the Community Contact Centre?
What are we doing? So through the Hertford Ave Support Centre, what we're doing is we're just putting a staff member in there at the moment on a Friday from between 1 and 3. It's really just a drop-in centre and an opportunity for the community to come to us with any issues that they might not normally want to take to the police station. So we're not aiming for it as a crime reporting opportunity. There's still a mechanism for that through the police station, which is not overly too far away from that location. But like I said, it's an opportunity for people to come in and discuss with us some issues that they may have within the community. Maybe they've just got some queries that they wonder whether or not we can give them any form of advice or guidance as to people that they could talk to. And also just to open up a flow of conversation between the police. We also utilise it to go for a walk. There's a fantastic community garden set up in the area there, so we can go out and be visible in that area. So it's just providing that opportunity for people to approach us and hopefully to make us appear a little bit more approachable too.
You're saying you're not dealing with criminal offending. Are you then using this as a prevention tool?
Absolutely, absolutely. So having us in that area will provide an element of prevention anyway. Also, it's certainly an opportunity for us to always provide prevention advice and guidance, particularly under the Prevention First initiative, which we're using to go towards the police vision of safer communities together. So this is a huge stepping stone for that. Like I said, some people find and will maybe be a little bit nervous about coming to the police with things and maybe wondering whether or not they're wasting our time with that, which seems to be, from my perspective, certainly working within neighbourhood support within an area like Papamoa, where we've got a large neighbourhood support network, that the feedback that I get often is, oh, we didn't want to bother you with that. Whereas from my perspective as an officer in charge of a station, if I don't know what the issues are within my community or even what somebody might think is relatively minor, I can't deploy staff and resources to that area to help address that issue. So it's that communication really, and it's opening up a line of communication, and it means that whoever's in there can also deliver prevention advice and messaging at the same time.
You say some people have come to you and said, I didn't want to bother you. What kind of situations are you talking about?
We've just a couple off the top of my head. I assisted a couple. They were looking for. They had a deceased relative's estate that they were trying to sort, and there was an estranged brother from that family, and they were just sort of wondered whether or not I could assist them with maybe finding out or sending them down some lines of inquiry as to how they could possibly establish the location of their brother. So I was able to initially tell them that yes, that person was still alive for starters as far as we were aware, and give them some lines of inquiry through other agencies that they could go to, that they may be able to locate that person's location so that they can at least send them some letters or advise them of the family situation. So that was one thing. Another thing we've done is I've had another gentleman come in, had problems with a warrant of fitness. He got sent away through his work, and the place that he'd initially got his warrant of fitness from, it shut down, so he wasn't able to meet his 14-day diversion. I'm going to use diversion, it's the wrong term at the moment, but he wasn't able to meet the compliance. He wasn't able to meet that 14-day compliance, so I was able to assist him with what he needed to do to provide to the police or to, in order to not possibly have to pay that infringement, because he'd done everything that he could. It wasn't his fault that this place had shut down and he now had to go to somewhere else. So that sort of thing, we're able, normally they may just write it off, but you know, we're able to give them some advice. So,
can you give us a couple more examples of how you feel the centre has benefited the community?
They're the two that I've dealt with, but I know that others have come in with some security advice. I know that people have come in wishing to discuss fencing issues or neighbourly issues that border on the what would probably be a civil dispute. But we're able to give them advice as to where to go and what line to take and the people to talk to. So that's the sort of thing that we can do. And then obviously if we pick up on some criminal offending along the way there too, we can. And when I say we're not investigating, it's not for reporting crime. If we identify that there is an offence or something in there, we'll definitely follow that up and go through that line as well.
It begs the question, is Hertford Ave really that bad?
No, it's not. I would walk my family down Hertford Avenue. I certainly don't have any issue with it. The beautiful feedback. What we're doing tomorrow is we are having a community day down there, and we are going around and canvassing the area, asking people if there are any issues that they have within their area, asking them if there's anything that we can, as the police, could better do to assist them in that area, and to gauge an accurate feeling of the area. We've worked closely with various other agencies, so Mental Health, Housing New Zealand, WINS, just gathering a bit of a profile on the area, and that's by no means labelling people, but just having an understanding. And what we did earlier was we've sent out a letterbox drop, probably 2 weeks, week or so ago, advising residents of that's what we're intending to do and our reason for coming into the area. And from that, I've already had some very positive feedback from people who have rung me direct and said, look, we're not around, we're working during that day. I've asked them if they're prepared for me to just ask them some questions. They've given me their time over the phone, and overwhelmingly so far from those people, so they've got absolutely no issue. They love the area, they love the location, they feel safe. So hopefully from us doing this, we might identify a few minor issues that we can deal with. Some family people may come to us and say, hey, look, we are having issues with a family member or something within the family, we can give them advice on. And also, we can feed back that it isn't a bad area, and that stigma that maybe is sort of sitting over there in some ways can change.
The contact centre will be manned by police on Friday afternoons between 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. To make a scheduled appointment, phone the Papamoa Police Station on 07 572 2440. But appointments are not a must. Coming up after the break, an inspirational young woman. Welcome back to Central News. Natasha Cox is just 17 years of age, but has a mindset that maybe we could all learn from. Life is too short to be unhappy. The Bethlehem College student is currently fundraising to get to Ecuador, where she will volunteer with children.
Well, I think at the beginning of this year, I decided that I wanted to take a year off before university to really do what makes me happy instead of having to put that aside for studies. And so I went along to Latitude Global Volunteering's information evening, and I'd seen a pamphlet at my school, and as soon as I was in the meeting, I knew it was for me. There was a girl sharing about her experiences in Vietnam, and it was just incredible, and it just, it made sense to me. It's what I wanted to do. So originally I signed up to go to India to go volunteer in a disabled institution for children in Varanasi. But because of difficulties with visas, I changed to Ecuador. And it's really about, I love making people happy, and I love serving other people and doing what I can for others. And I think it was just about combining my love for traveling and wanting to help people, and what Latitude offered just was the perfect fit.
So why Ecuador, of all places?
Well, like I said, it wasn't the original plan, but after realizing that I needed to make another choice, I was looking through the brochure, and it first of all looks beautiful as a country, but second of all, the language especially. I wanted to be able to pick up a language and be proficient at a language, and already learning French at school, Spanish, going to a Spanish-speaking country where I could be immersed in the language, it seemed like an awesome opportunity. So it just seemed like a trifecta, being able to travel to a beautiful place, help incredible people, and learn the language.
So do you know what kind of work you're actually going to be doing there?
We haven't been informed of our official placements yet, but I'll be working in a schools or caring placement. So the awesome thing about the Ecuadorian placement is that you have the opportunity to work in a school teaching English or just helping with the children in the mornings, and then work with street children in the afternoon. As well as that, I could be working in care placements with children with physical disabilities, learning disabilities, and also the street children, the outreach program for them. So a really wide opportunity, and the opportunity to do more than one of those, but ultimately just working with children that need a little bit of love, or need a little bit of schools that need help, or teachers that need a little bit of extra help, or really I'm not too fazed about my exact placement. I know I'll be able to make a child smile wherever I go, and I think that's my aim.
Working with troubled children might be quite difficult. Are you nervous about that?
I guess any placement would come with its own challenges or difficulties. And I guess there is that, that barrier often between a child that's whether physically disabled, but I think being able to see the beauty in everyone, and knowing that no matter if you are or you aren't, we're all worth the same thing, and I think treating them with that respect, as well as that, often I'm guessing that the street children are going to be quite troubled, probably from very low socioeconomic backgrounds, and being able to work with them, especially as a girl and especially as a young girl, I think it's all about just showing them the love and respect that you want to receive from them. And like Latitude keeps telling us, when we're not students anymore, we're actually part of the staff. And but I think it's showing the respect to them and hoping that they'll show it back. And I think, showing them unconditional love. And I think if you do that, you'll earn their respect.
So you're nervous about anything else to do with the trip?
Not so much nervous. I've been really blessed to have done quite a bit of traveling and seen how other cultures work, and went on a missions trip with my school this year to Tonga and stay with a local family. So immersing myself in another culture, it's exciting, and while it's hard at times, the benefits far outweigh any negatives. But I think one thing I'm most excited about would be the fact that I get to stay with a local family in Ecuador as well. and building that relationship. You know, I still talk to my family in Tonga. I still call my mum my Tongan mum, and the children my brothers and sisters, because even in a 2-week time frame, you know, you create a bond with people. And I think nervous and excited to see the family that I get to stay with and the opportunities that I get through them.
You say you want to take the message of self-worth. How do you teach that?
Well, I've personally been through a lot with of troubles with self-worth, so eating disorders and finding my way through that with, you know, help from friends and my church and my youth group and my faith. And I think being able to come out of that stronger than you were before, and having the attitude that I didn't go through it for no reason, and I want to share what I learned. And even if it's not that extreme, even if those issues aren't relevant to the children over there, I think this world, wherever you are, is in need of some love, some unconditional love. And I think it's about showing these kids that, you know, whether they don't get it at home, that there's someone out there that cares about them and that they're worth more than they think they are. And I think not so much, it might not be in front of a classroom, you know, teaching them what I went through or sharing my story, but I think, like I said before, treating them like they're precious and like someone loves them. I think that's priceless to a child, especially growing up, because that's when things like problems with self-worth really come into play, and you won't see the problems that arise from that until later on in life. But I think, you know, if a child knows when they're young that they're worth something and that someone loves them, then I don't think, you know, I think we can help to really eradicate those kind of problems in older youth.
You have a passion for bringing happiness to people's lives. What drives that?
I don't know. I think maybe my faith and I'm a happy person, and I strive to stay positive, and I strive to, you know, see the light in things and the happiness in things. And I think I want other people to share in that joy that I feel. And, you know, there's no point going through life being sad or with a frown on your face. And I think people look a lot more beautiful when they smile, and I want to share that with people, and I want to contribute in bringing that happiness to people and sharing in their happiness. And I think when you do that, you instantly make yourself happier, and you're in a happier place. And I think I love serving people, and I love giving things to people, even if it's just a smile, even if it's just, you know, a hello to a stranger or a hug to someone who may need it. And I think happiness, I think we underestimate how easy it is to bring, how easy it is to give, and how easy it is to make someone's day.
Truly inspirational young lady. If you'd like to help Natasha, you can visit givealittle.co.nz/cause/Natasha's Passion. Just ahead, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Welcome back to Central News. Last Wednesday was COPD Awareness Day. I caught up with a Bay doctor passionate about increasing the awareness of the fatal disease that affects 1 in 10 Kiwis.
COPD stands for chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and it's an irreversible lung condition where the lungs are damaged, and it leads to breathlessness, and it's a progressive condition that's usually caused by smoking in most cases.
So is this a form of asthma?
Asthma and COPD can cause very similar symptoms, but they are caused by very different pathology. So no, they're not the same, but patients can experience pretty similar conditions. And to be fair, asthmatics who smoke are likely to develop COPD as well.
So are most asthmatics more at risk?
No, I don't think that would be fair. An asthmatic who doesn't smoke shouldn't develop COPD.
And how common is COPD? Does it mean there are a particular group who are more at risk, aside from asthma?
It's a very common condition. In New Zealand, the data suggests that at 45 or over 15% of people have COPD. That represents over 200,000 people. So it is common, and it's particularly common in smokers.
Are there any other risk factors?
Certainly if you smoke cannabis or you've been exposed to a lot of occupational dust and fumes that have damaged the lung tissue, that increases the risk for COPD, and the rates are certainly higher in Māori people groups as well.
So what's actually happening inside the body to the lungs when we get this disease?
The term obstructive in the COPD title says that the tubes in the lungs become blocked, they become obstructed. So when you breathe out, the airflow should be smooth and even, but in somebody with COPD, the lungs just collapse down because they lose their architecture, their structure, and there's too much mucus, and so they can't get rid of all of the air in their lungs efficiently, and it leads to inefficient breathing technique and breathlessness.
So do they basically wander around with old stale air in their lungs?
Pretty much, yeah. Air that is not well oxygenated, and therefore they're not getting enough oxygen into their body organs and tissues, and they suffer the symptoms, the consequences of that.
So can it be fatal, or is it kind of a manageable condition?
COPD is irreversible. It is a terminal condition. Once you've got it, and it's progressive. It gets worse as you get older, and certainly a number of people will die because of their COPD from complications such as pneumonia. But having said that, if it's diagnosed and intervention is provided early, it can be well managed, and patients can lead a pretty normal life. But the key is catching it early.
What symptoms should we look for then?
Well, the cardinal symptom is breathlessness, particularly on exertion, with doing physical activity, getting out of breath too easily, and then with all the mucus that's produced and not moved from the lungs well, a chronic cough can be present. Quite early on, the key symptoms can be just an early morning cough and breathlessness as you get going for the day, trying to clear all this mucus from the lungs. And then for patients who have more advanced disease, they get the complications of anxiety from not being able to breathe properly. Depression is quite common, poor appetite and poor nutrition as a result too. These are all symptoms of COPD. Fatigue can be a very common issue too, because clearly you're not getting enough oxygen into the body. You're tired as a result.
If you are worried, you can ask your GP for a spirometry test. Now for our weather for Tuesday. Looking to the seas now. That is Central News for today. If you have something you'd like to share with us, you can via our Facebook page, centralnews.tv, or email us news@tvcentral.co.nz. Coming up on tomorrow night's show, all you need to know about the new breath alcohol limit. And of course, White Ribbon Day. Until then, I'm Hilary Entwistle. I hope you have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.